seat. Those three folks were Frank Luntz, whose former firm did the poll that I cited earlier, Kiera O'Brien, who's a Harvard student and member of Students for Carbon Dividends, and Nick Huey, a CCL volunteer from Utah, who did
My name is Nick Huey. I'm a father of two, an advertiser, a Republican, and a Mormon Christian. I'm not your typical climate change activist either. The closest I've ever been to vegetarian is swapping a beef sandwich for a chicken one, and that was hard. It's not that I hate the planet, I just don't know why I'd bring a squirt gun to a forest fire. I'd rather call the fire department. That is why I'm here. We may be from different parties, but we're from the same planet. So thank you for your time, fellow Earthians. When I went to BYU, I had a baby. Then I had another baby. It's kind of a Mormon hobby. But with each new child I held in my arms, my concern for their future grew. I wanted to protect my children, and there was no way I could do that. It had to be a planetary effort. So I started trying to figure out how to bridge the gap between the far left and the far right so we could all work together on climate change. The answer I found was not a new policy. It was a new idea. I called it the far middle, a radical place where the left and right respect and learn from each other's viewpoints publicly. In 2017, I wanted to prove the far middle could exist. They call the rivalry between BYU and the Utes the Holy War. Like the far left and far right, we hate each other. What if we could use our bitter rivalry to show Democrats and Republicans how to get along when it comes to climate? On the first week of fall classes, BYU students arrived at the U with over 3,000 purple flowers to place on each of their car windshields. Why purple? Because the Ute school color is red and ours is blue. Purple is right in the middle. With each flower, we left a video inviting Utes to team up with us on climate. A simple, easy execution with unexpected results. The day of the event, the emails from students began pouring in. We were broadcast on Utah's biggest news channels, garnering over 200,000 media impressions on our first day of operations. But we weren't done. 1 week later, 50 volunteers hiked the side of a mountain to shine a purple Y the size of a football field inside BYU Stadium during the nationally aired rivalry football game. At this point, sustainability coordinators from other universities began to reach out. We were featured in local talk shows and radio interviews. We got ultra-conservative Utah to start buzzing about climate change on every news channel. Why? Because we approached the problem from the far middle. The radical part of this campaign wasn't that we were angry and yelling. It was that we weren't. Climate change is not the sickness. It's a symptom. Excuse me. It's a physical manifestation. It's a physical manifestation of America's deeper infirmity. Polarized partisan pride. I've heard both of my colleagues here talk about it. The problem isn't a lack of bipartisan options. It's a lack of bipartisanship itself. If we can strip away partisan pride and greed, the symptoms will go away faster than any of us could reasonably believe possible. The far middle is a place of humility, reason, and respect. It's the same kind of humility that inspires a group of Democratic senators to invite 3 young Republicans to come offer their perspective on the climate crisis. In the far middle, a liberal atheist and a conservative Mormon Christian can sit down and have a real conversation about climate, healthcare, guns, and gays, and leave with new ideas. In the far middle, we treasure diversity of thought every bit as we treasure diversity of skin color, even if those thoughts are in direct conflict with our own. I was asked to come here today to share the way forward. Not right, not left, forward. The answer is to become radical environmentalists, a collection of those who maintain one party affiliation while publicly embracing the other. Create a space where it's safe to concede, to work together, to respect, and you will resonate with your constituents and the rest of America on a level you didn't know possible. So, and I apologize, the tears have made this last a little bit longer.
Take your time.
Okay.
You're doing great.
Thanks. So what can you do to create this far middle space when the far left and the far right dominate the headlines? The answer lies in big, safe, smart public gestures that in today's political climate are much more disruptive than another angry tweet. If there's one ad tip I can give you, it's when everyone zigs, you zag. Could you imagine the headlines today if instead of passing a resolution to condemn someone's rhetoric, you introduced a resolution to apologize for your own? It's a gesture of goodwill. Or if a Republican and Democrat went to rally in each other's respective districts because they saw in each other integrity and humanity? What would such simple, radical actions do to the dialogue in this country? If you want to move the needle, you need to be radically agreeable. You need to be as radically agreeable as the far left and far right are radically disagreeable. I offer my services as an advertiser to anyone in this room free of charge, regardless of party, as long as you'll use them to heal the gap that has turned our climate into a political weapon. You each have unique opportunities to bring the far middle back into mainstream America. I would love to figure out what those are. If a handful of students from conservative Utah can get on every single news channel with a message about climate change, there's no reason a handful of senators from our nation's highest level of government can't do the same on a national scale. I imagine you all would like to see more of your Republican colleagues here. I would too. But for that to happen, someone has to publicly let go of pride in a big way. Someone has to soften. It's no longer enough to reach across the aisle in private conversations. Now is the time for radical collaboration, to let love outweigh fear. The American public will not only permit such leadership, will break out the fireworks. The far middle has been muted by two warring parties, but we are still America's majority. Give us our voice back. Create the far middle, and climate change will take care of itself. Thank you.
Inspired by what you heard today? Join Citizens Climate Lobby to advocate for bipartisan climate solutions. Go to community.citizensclimate.org to find more trainings, resources, your local chapter, national action teams, discussion forums, and more. Be sure to like our Facebook page and follow us on Twitter and Instagram @CitizensClimate. We also invite all of our listeners to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more inspiration. And together, we are creating the political will for a livable world.